Alright, so if you haven't watched my latest grocery haul, then you should go and watch that now. But this is how I break it all down. I got a kilo of pork mince, so I've just weighed out 500 grams in a bowl on the Thermomix. And so I know this is another 500 grams, so I'm going to bag that up. I have my 4 chickens, which I'm about to roast, and I'm already going to have the oven on at the right temperature. So I'm going to roast all 3.5 kilos of pork. And then I'm going to start breaking down the lamb, which I have over here, into meals and portions, and if I have time I might make the lamb curry. So I've butchered off a chunk of my pork, and I'll weigh that for you guys, but I butchered off a chunk of my pork and I'm going to cook up the rest here, and then I'll shred and do all the rest with this, and then I can have that for something that maybe I don't want cooked pork for, I want fresh pork for. So that was 600 grams of pork, so I'm going to bag that up and freeze that and salt and oil this and get this in the oven with my chickens, and then I'm off to school run. Pork is done, chickens are done, and now I'm about to serve up. I have 2 orders for chicken and 2 orders for pork, so I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to shred and cut up the rest for future meals. So we were out for several hours, so I didn't get a chance to make the scalloped potatoes or potato bake like I wanted. So it's just going to be vegetables and meat because these kids got to eat before bedtime. Alright, it's the next day. Things got crazy. We were late home and we had to do errands, and there was drama, and the baby needed to be fed, and da 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 da, mom life, right? So I shredded up that chicken. I got 2, these are 800 gram decor match-up containers from Coles, and they go on special every 6 or so weeks, and they are great, and I post about them on Instagram when they go on special if you are looking for some great containers. But I have 2 800ml containers full of shredded chicken, so I've left 1 in the fridge, and that'll be for us to eat from and work from and make meals from this week. And then this one, which is slightly fuller, I have frozen overnight, so that will go back into the freezer, and I will get that out as needed for future weeks. Alright, so the shredded chicken will be used in chicken noodle soup, in fried rice, in curries and pasta bakes and all sorts of things. It's very tasty because it's already been roasted and seasoned, and it's got all its juices in there, and it just really takes up your meals, and you don't need a lot of it because there's a lot of flavor in it. You don't need a lot of it, and you know, that with a little bit of bacon in some pasta would be glorious, so forth. So that's my chicken. Over here we have pork, which I have sliced. I've sliced everything up rather thinly. There you go. And I will be using, this is the one from the fridge. This is a 1.5 litre container from the Decor Matchups. See how all the green ones have the same lids and all match up, and so forth with all the colours. But this is sliced up, and I'm going to be using that this week for ramen and pork stir fry, and probably in fried rice. I'll use a little bit of the pork and a little bit of the chicken for the fried rice with some eggs and some bacon, and it'll be glorious, like I said. But that's gone in the fridge overnight. I'll put the lid on that properly in a minute. And then another 800ml container that's frozen going into the fridge, and that will be for future ramen and fried rice and all of that. So that will go back into the freezer. And then this is the drippings from the pork, which I will use when I make my ramen broth and my ramen stock. And then I'm also making chicken broth, although I have to check and see if that was put in the fridge properly and covered or not, so we shall see. But you can see I cooked up that 3.5 kilo thing of pork last night. We had our dinner from it, and those 4 chickens, we had our dinner from that, and this is what I have left. And you can see how I've got 1 in the fridge and 1 in the freezer, and I'll be able to just get these out, leave them in the freezer just to frost for a couple of days, and then I can use them. I know for a fact hubby will be having a chicken and gravy and a pork and gravy sandwich when he gets home from work. That is another great use for having this pre-cooked meat on hand. Quick and easy lunches, meals, snacks, all of that. Also, if you don't have enough containers, you can just pop it out of the container and into a Ziploc bag into the freezer. And I've done that to show you. I have plenty of containers because whenever they're on special, I buy a few. And they stack really nicely in the fridge and the freezer. So. Alright, so here's my half cider lamb. So I've got a leg roast here. I've got these 4 cutlets. So I've got 4 and 4, so 8 cutlets. I got some quarter chops, and they're quite thick. I got some more quarter chops, and then I have this little bit of a leg here and bone, which will be good to boil up. Then I have over here some ribs, which will be nice. And then I have this kind of off-cutty bit. So I've got chunky bone here, which I will braise. And then I have all of this meat on here. And this is probably what I'm going to cut up for, and the leg for my lamb curry. I'll take all the meat off it, and I will boil the bones and make a broth from those to use in my curry. But yeah, that's $67 and 4.5 kilos of lamb. Alright, so I cut up the offcuts off of those pieces, and I have quite a fair amount here, probably 2.5 handfuls of small chunks. I did leave a little bit of fat on some of them. I cut all the tendons off and anything tough. I left a little bit of fat on some of them because I do want them to, that'll just melt away when I cook it. But now I'm going to cover them in some corn flour that I have here, and then I'm going to brown it and make my lamb curry. I'm going to put away all these other bits of meat in the freezer and get them away, and then I'm going to start on my lamb curry. Alright, so I have all my ingredients. My lamb already covered in the corn flour. I have a potato, a sweet potato for my starch, a zucchini that needs to be used up, 2 of my oldest carrots, a capsicum from last week, capsicum from this week, a large brown onion, crushed garlic, diced tomatoes, and a coconut milk. And I need to grab out my curry powder, salt, pepper, maybe a bit of paprika, and I'm going to whip up this curry. And here is my finished lamb curry, which I'm about to eat for my lunch, and then I might have seconds for dinner. This will be dinner tonight, and I will bag up the rest with the 6 cups of rice I cooked into takeaway containers for lunches for coming weeks, and single serves of dinner in weeks where we're busy and we need something quick to eat.